Sara's Weeknight Meals is made possible by USA Rice, Sunsweet, Hodgson Mill, and the generous support of...
Cooking is the first kind of love you know. It was starting when I was a child, with my grandmother doing fresh pasta, and now I transmit it to all the guests. It's something made especially for them.
Oceana Cruises, proud sponsor of Sara's Weeknight Meals.
Vegetables and herbs, whether they are harvested or found, are part of a heritage of flavors some feel have been lost in modern farming.
If you've eaten a little raspberry off a plant, you've been foraging.
Tama Matsuoka turned a yard full of weeds into a thriving business, foraging for the great restaurants of New York. Today, she's my teacher.
I let my garden go to heck in anticipation of your arrival.
Great.
Yeah, look at her.
Wait till you see what we make.
Mugwort soup.
I cannot believe we are cooking with weeds. I mean, that's so wild. I mean, it is wild.
Plus edible spring wildflowers.
They're called Dame's Rocket. We're gonna make a salad with asparagus and Parma ham.
It's sweet,
But
a little bit of a heat behind it.
And for another touch of green, broccoli calzone.
You might be thinking, oh my goodness, I can't make pizza dough on a weeknight. Well, guess what? You can. Takes 6 minutes.
Flavors lost and found, today on Sara's Weeknight Meals.
Today we are making savory pies, and what more tasty pie than a pizza pie, but a stuffed pizza pie? I'm talking about calzone. You might be thinking, oh my goodness, I can't make pizza dough on a weeknight. Well, guess what? You can. Takes 6 minutes. Okay, so we're going to start with the dough, which is all-purpose flour. And we need about 1 3/4 cup. And what's going to really help us here is the rapid rise or instant yeast, because it works a lot faster than regular yeast. That's how come we get away with a 35-minute rise. With the rapid rise or instant yeast, you add it right to the dry ingredients. 1 package, 1 teaspoon each of salt and sugar. The sugar will help to sort of jump start the dough, and there's a teaspoon of salt. And then I've got some very hot water. To the water, I'm gonna add a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. First, I'm gonna just mix the dry ingredients. And then in goes the liquid. I want it almost to ball up. Ah, look at that. There we go. Okay, so now we're gonna put it into a bowl that I've oiled very lightly with some more olive oil. And I'm just turning it around to coat the bottom side and then the top side with oil on it. If I just put this in here without oiling the bowl and oiling the dough and just let it rise, it would get a skin, and we don't want that. So, put plastic wrap on top, put it in a warm place, and there you go. And I have some over here that's been rising for 35 minutes. And it doubles in bulk. And how you know it's ready, besides just looking at it visually, is that, let me just put a little flour in my finger, that when you put your finger in, if it holds the indent of the finger, if it looks like an innie belly button, then it's good to go. So now I'm going to cut this into 12 pieces, because we're going to make 12 calzone. So out this comes. I could either use a knife or I could use a bench scraper. This is a bench scraper. Finally, I'm using a bench scraper for what it's supposed to be used for, which is dough. It doesn't matter if they're exactly the same, but we'd like them to be sort of the same. This is a fun thing to do with kids. Dough, this kind of dough is very forgiving. You almost can't ruin it. And now we're going to be ready to shape this, but I want to get my fillings ready first. So here we have, this is a supermarket cheese that I like very much. It's garlic herb. It's a soft cheese. And the trouble with cheeses like this is that they're very hard to cut. So I take a very clean piece of floss, and I've already cut most of it into 12 pieces. And I'm going to put today broccoli in there. Interestingly enough, and I can't believe this is true, I'm going to just peel the broccoli stems because I want to show you that you can use the stems as well as the florets. But interestingly enough, I've done this both with asparagus and with broccoli, and I assumed that I would have to cook the vegetable first. Otherwise, it would never get done in the time it's in the oven. But you need to do it raw. It's by the time you take it out of the oven, it's just perfect and tender. Okay, so I need a cup, about a cup, but you want to cut the pieces fairly small so that you can really get them in there. I have not mentioned using store-bought pizza dough. That's completely acceptable, although I've just shown you how easy it is to do your own. Now, if you've ever rolled out dough and you're not a professional pizza person, you roll it on the counter on flour. Don't you find that when you use flour, you roll the dough this way, it comes right back. You roll it this way, comes right back. You feel like it's just so hard to get it to stay out there. Now I'm hoping that I still have enough, I think I do, enough oil on the bottom of this. I learned this from Pam, my wonderful Sicilian makeup artist. Pam said her mom always rolls out her pizza dough on oil, not flour. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I'm going to make it really thin. Now I'm going to put a mound of broccoli. I'm going to put it on the bottom half, and these aren't perfect. The word here is rustic. You can get away with a lot by using that word. It was supposed to be rustic, made by human hands. And then we're going to put a wedge of the cheese right on top. So now I'm going to glue the dough together with water. You lift it up, you pull it over, you smush it down. You want to squish the edges together really tight. And right now it doesn't look very pretty, but we're going to make it look pretty. You just roll in the edges. You know, if you get really good at it, which I'm not, you could actually do pleats. Okay, so you end up with happy little half moons. And you just transport them. Now, a lot of people will put cornmeal on a sheet pan. You can do that. I just use parchment paper. It makes life so easy. I'll do number 2. This is a great option for family meal because you can make 1 or 2 or even 3 calzone for each person, or they can make their own. And you can set it up like an assembly line. Everybody's will look different. And then fold it over, and then I just sort of tuck the ends in and make it really tidy. Okay, so now they need a little egg wash. I would do an egg yolk in a tablespoon of water, or even a teaspoon is good. Here, I'm gonna use my fork here. And you don't have to do this, but it's just so pretty, it gives it a nice glaze. It's sort of fun painting your food too. Again, this would be a fun thing to do with the kids. Now I've got to put a little steam hole in the top of each one because as this cooks, the broccoli is going to give off steam. So you just poke it with the tip of a paring knife. And we are good to go. 375 for 18 minutes. They should be really golden, dark golden. Okay, I'm gonna go tidy up and they're gonna start to smell so wonderful. Pizza dough in the oven, oof, yum. Oh yes. Look at that beautiful color. Now it's best if you can let them rest for about 5 minutes. There's a little bit of carryover cooking time, but it's sort of hard to resist. Let me just see how they're doing. Let's see what it looks like inside. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. It gets all nice and melted. Okay, I'm gonna put a few on my plate. Ouch. Ouch. And we're gonna serve this with just sliced tomatoes that have been salted and drained and topped with a little bit of basil and a drizzle of olive oil. And it's just such a simple, nice side salad. So I'll put a spoonful on here. And then I got a beautiful plate. Oops. And the kids are going to love this, I guarantee. So there you go, my broccoli and herb cheese calzone. It's the perfect idea for a weeknight meal. My next guest is one of the most intriguing people in food, someone who found herself with a yard full of weeds and turned it into a new career.
People spend all their non-working time trying to get rid of dandelions in their backyard. But now I've come to love the dandelion. My entire family is waiting for dandelion season to begin because the leaves are so tender and sweet when they're young, and the flowers taste amazing when they're fried. Some people think it tastes like popcorn.
Tama Matsuoka Wong likes wild plants. That's why she gave up a lucrative job in financial law to be a full-time forager for five-star restaurants.
I didn't really discover this. It sort of discovered me because I was a failed gardener. So I tried to plant things and they all died, or I'd forget about them and then there was tons of weeds. So I thought, why not just go with the flow and embrace what's there instead of trying to force something that I wasn't very good at. So I just let my yard become weeds. I brought some plants from my meadow into Restaurant Danielle in New York City. Eddie LaRue, who's the chef de cuisine, made it into some amazing dishes for dinner. And when I went back into the kitchen, he asked me what else I had in my meadow. And I said I had 225 plants. And what did he want? And he said, bring me everything. Soon I found myself toting these garbage bags of weeds around New York City on the subway to Restaurant Danielle. Danielle knew we were doing this and he would come in. He actually said, so, Tama, how's foraging? I'd never heard of foraging before. When he first said that to me, I thought he meant kind of like rummaging or something. I didn't really know. And I sort of looked askance like, okay. So the project that we worked on to test all these plants ended up turning into this book, Forage Flavor. That is the result of all our testing projects and is made for the home cook.
Writing a cookbook was harder than it looked, especially adapting high-end restaurant recipes for home kitchens.
My secret weapon ended up being my 15-year-old daughter. We would go around the grocery store and we had to be able to find the ingredients that were available in our local supermarket. And then my daughter had to be able to cook it in our oven based on the chef's recipe. So the one thing is that a chef cannot argue with a 15-year-old girl.
But just look at what they came up with. It wasn't long after the book came out that Tama started delivering foraged ingredients to some of New York's best restaurants.
These are called gold moss.
A lot of the chefs I work with are always looking for something new. They're very creative.
And so she found something really unique for the pastry chef at Gramercy Tavern, Miro Juskokovic. First, she had to make sure it was safe.
Before I would sell something, I would always make sure that there is documented evidence of it having been consumed by humans somewhere on the planet. And shagbark hickory bark was used by the American Indians in a tea. They would boil it, and they said it tasted kind of sweet. So I thought, okay, let's get a bunch of bark and bring it in. And then frankly, it just looked like a house shingle. So I thought, sure. And I brought this in, never seen someone so excited. Oh my gosh, bark. Totally into this. And then maybe 2 weeks later, he made me eat what he had put on the menu. He put this shagbark hickory bark ice cream. It was amazing. So I think people are not connected with nature or what's around them anymore. So they're just used to seeing food that comes in a packet. Whereas actually, if you've eaten a little raspberry off a plant, you've been foraging. It's really just connecting where the plants are coming from and ways people have eaten it around the world. It's just that in this country, I think because we have come from other places, we've lost that connection. And so that's part of what I'm trying to do, is to reconnect people from where they're coming from and where these plants are enjoyed. It's not really new.
I couldn't wait to cook with Tama. But more than that, I wanted to forage with her.
I let my garden go to heck in anticipation of your arrival.
Great.
Yeah, look at her. She's like, great. So tell me, I'm hoping we can find something that we can cook with.
We'll just look through a couple pictures here, and
Okay.
I'll point out some of the
That are in season right now.
well, the weeds that you're most likely to find anywhere.
Okay.
I think one thing you might have now might be mugwort. It's all over the continent.
Oh.
And on the backs, it's like an herb, but on the back of the leaf, it's just finely dissected. It's kind of silvery.
I think I have lots of that in my
Okay.
garden.
Here's your
Oh, I
clippers.
get the right weapon. We've
Yeah.
got gear. We're gonna go forage.
Let's go.
Hooray. Okay, so you tell me.
Okay.
I have
So
some
if you
tall
think
stuff
over here, you
back
saw
there.
stuff like this. Okay, we didn't even go 3 inches.
Oh, and
from
I
the
was
edge
thinking,
of
was
your
that stuff
lawn.
back
well,
there?
it is back there. That's tall, but let's look first. It's an herb, right? It's not a tree or a bush.
Yeah.
It's an herb, and then it has finely dissected leaves. See that silvery back?
Yes.
That's a key tell thing.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell now by the smell. See, it's got that kind of smell. It's almost like a sagey, but like
It
very
is.
light.
It
yes,
is. It
yes.
is. It
so
is. Mm-hmm.
smell is a big thing, you know, and so, well, I'm actually just doing this, but you can just like clip off
Mm-hmm.
leaves like this of like finely, you know, the tender ones.
Oh, look, I'm foraging.
Yeah, see how easy is
You
that?
take the little guys, is what it is. Oh, this is fun. We're foraging. You think we have enough? I cannot believe we are cooking with weeds. I mean, that's so wild. I mean, it is wild. It doesn't get much wilder than that. So let's get started cooking, and then you can tell me about what we're making.
So we start with the butter, 3 tablespoons of butter.
Okay. Here we got a little knife if you
Okay,
want.
yes, thank you.
Alrighty, and then some shallots?
Yes.
This looks like one big shallot. Oh, I see we need some garlic
Yes.
done. Okay, I'll do that. And why don't you tell me what we're making?
Mugwort soup.
That sounds very much like Harry Potter. Can you explain? Can you explain? Is this some sort of wizardry?
Well, this is actually a very all-purpose recipe. You could use other wild herbs as well.
So what goes into this soup besides what I'm chopping here? It's
So there's 2 other ingredients which are, I think, very important. The mushrooms and the potatoes. If you just cook only the mugwort, it tastes sort of thin. So the mushroom kind of provides that umami.
That seems to be a word that
yes,
comes up a lot.
and also when the mugwort is very young, it actually has a little bit of a white button mushroom flavor. So you're kind of mixing that in together.
Are we ready for the garlic?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, so we're just softening the shallots a little bit. And then we're just using white button mushrooms, right?
Yes.
And they go in with the
You
garlic?
can use other mushrooms as well, but
Okay.
it's easy.
And then you're gonna talk about the mugwort.
Depending again on the stage that you find this in your backyard or a garden, they might be really small, almost like that, very fine and thin.
Got it.
And then when it gets a little bit older, it starts to get these stems, and it's very important to not have these really thick stems.
Oh, it's sort
in
of
there.
like parsley. When you
Yes,
get
like
really
you-
stemmy
yes.
parsley, you want to lose those
Yes,
stems.
and you
'cause-
might use this for something else, but you wouldn't want to put it in the soup because it'll become more fibrous.
I got it. Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm just taking off these stems.
So we had about 8 cups, right, of the mugwort leaves to begin
Yes,
with.
yes.
So we add half now and
Yes,
half later, and then the Yukon Gold, and so here goes the potatoes. A baking potato if we didn't have Yukon Gold.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a very forgiving recipe.
I can tell.
So, sometimes what you have on hand is good.
I like the way you think. I mean, this is certainly very economical cooking.
Yeah.
Do you want me to throw half of this in here?
Please.
Okay, that looks like about half. All right, so now we need the broth.
Yes.
Okay, so we're using chicken broth?
Yes.
And this is 6 cups. Could we use vegetable
You could
broth?
use vegetable broth
Okay.
too.
All righty. And now we bring it up to a boil and then simmer it?
Yeah.
For about how long? 20 minutes?
Yes, give or take.
Yeah, just till the potatoes, I think, would be tender.
The potatoes are done.
And then we can start getting our salad together. So what are we making?
I've brought you something special.
Oh, those
It's,
are
some
gorgeous. My favorite color. How did you know?
Spring wildflowers. They're called Dame's Rocket. We're going to make a salad with asparagus and Parma ham. And if you can get started cutting the asparagus into 3-inch lengths, that would be great.
Okay.
I'll do the ham and I'll explain a little bit about your favorite.
I have to taste it. So tell me about them.
So this is called Dame's Rocket. It's actually an invasive species. And in some states it's actually banned because it spreads all over and disrupts the landscape. It spreads mostly by seeds. So by eating the flower before it seeds, you're actually doing a good thing.
We're like cutting back on the plant.
You're controlling
Good for
this
you.
invasive species.
One little weed at a time.
What do you think about the?
I think it's wonderful. You know, it's sweet.
It's sweet, but
there's a little
there's
bit of
complexity
a little
to
bit
it.
of a heat behind it.
Yes.
So what family is it in?
You're cutting, right?
Oh yes. Okay, I get easily distracted. So we did prep the asparagus, blanched it in boiling salted water, and then put it into ice water to stop the cooking and pat it dry. So we're going to just put a little bit of balsamic and olive oil.
It's a very simple salad, and again, you can use other edible flowers as well if you have.
I'm just eyeballing this balsamic and olive oil. So whatever proportion, is that okay?
Yes. I'm sure people have their favorite, proportions, etc. So.
Right. And I'm going to do something I hope you're okay with my impeccably clean hands. I'm going to toss it because I feel like you do a better job with your hands.
Yes.
Okay, so this just goes on top.
Yeah.
Okay, get wild. So this is prosciutto di Parma, or whatever domestic prosciutto you want to get. There we go. This is wonderful. This is sort of a nice antipasto. And then these guys just go on top. I'm going to let you put the flowers on the way you want them. Okay, beautiful.
I'm taking these.
Oh, okay.
So when I'm doing this, I'm just removing the stem part.
Okay, so you keep this much to here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep this.
Oh, this is so much. Oh, this is like
pretty.
gorgeous. Gorgeous.
You could also throw them in things you're cooking. My daughter likes to make fried rice.
Oh.
And she throws this in, and then you can see these tiny specks of lavender.
Nice.
Yes.
So how is the soup doing? You think we're ready for the next?
The potatoes have softened enough, and I think we're definitely ready for the cream.
Cream.
And the last batch
Last
of
half.
the-
Okay, so you want me to get this in there? So this is 1 cup of cream, and this is heavy cream.
Yes.
Supposing you didn't want to add heavy cream.
I've done it without heavy cream as well.
Okay, so you just left
half
it
and
out.
half, or no, I put something.
Yeah.
Half and half, or even just like a little milk.
Okay, so the rest of these guys go in now?
Yep.
And this is going to be just sort of a fresh finish.
Yes.
And we give it, what, another 10 minutes?
Yes.
So I have to ask you a really horrible question. Why would anybody bother cooking with weeds?
First of all, for the flavor, because the flavors, as you notice, are great.
They are very
and
pronounced.
It's not,
They are very
a lot
pronounced.
of the stuff, if you go to the supermarket now, like I will say,
Bland.
it kind of